Hi, this is Jonathan Rosenhead, the Jerusalem psychotherapist. For this week's Torah and Psychology post for Shavuot, we're going to look at the well-known concept of how Bnei Yisrael received the Torah K'ish echad b'lev echad. This is often the phrase that is bandied around and is brought up time and time again, and we're looking at Shavuot and connecting with the nace and the miraculous event of Matan Torah. It is defined by this K'ish echad b'lev echad. But let's look at it from a psychological perspective to try to fully understand what was unique about this K'ish echad b'lev echad. On the one hand, we could say that K'ish echad b'lev echad was that the whole of Bnei Yisrael was all in tandem. Everyone was focused and was in agreement, you could say, to having the same goal, the same acceptance and commitment to receiving the Torah. Now, on the one hand, this is obviously a beautiful demonstration of Achdus, and it goes on to have ramifications and influence Bnei Yisrael to this day, that through the Torah, beyond just the relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the kiyum of Torah mitzvahs, it is an anchor from which it binds the Bnei Yisrael. It creates Achdus, the connection with the Torah, therefore has created this environment of uniting the Jewish people together. But Rav Shlomo Wolbe, when he discusses this, highlights that this is miraculous. It's miraculous. It's a nace of K'ish echad b'lev echad that every person in Am Yisrael was going in the same direction. They all wanted the same thing. What's interesting, or what we could say from a psychological perspective, is how this functioned actually in a healthy way. Because if we look at family systems, if we try to just look at it through the lens of family systems, if everyone was together, was united to the extent that everyone thought the same, felt the same, believed in the same thing, that it was, in a sense, functioning through a framework of K'ish echad b'lev echad, we would suggest that there's something which is maybe unhealthy in this system. There's too much fusion. There's a lack of differentiation and individuation within this family system, that the boundaries between the different individuals is blurred to the extent that it can be unhealthy. That is often discussed within family systems. But so why, if we look at Am Yisrael, the family system of Am Yisrael and Matan Torah and K'ish echad b'lev echad, how does this actually function in a healthy way that suggests that the system, the family systems of Am Yisrael was strengthened because of this view of K'ish echad b'lev echad? How did it function? So Shlomo Wolbe explains that it wasn't through this, it wasn't actually expressed through lack of differentiation or fusion. It's actually the opposite, that what was miraculous is that each individual actually preserved his own individual status, a sense of self, that the person that didn't have to subjugate his own needs to that of the other. He didn't have to disqualify and ignore his own needs in order to be in tandem with what the other person wanted, so that Am Yisrael could be K'ish echad b'lev echad to the expense of the person's own individual status. The miraculous aspect of K'ish echad b'lev echad is that there was individuation. Every single person preserved and maintained their own desires, wants, focus, and you could say power of control. And that was synchronized with all the other people in Am Yisrael. And to this extent, we could say that each person preserved their sense of self, that they knew who they were, what they wanted, and they made their own individual decision, which went together with the rest of the system. It went in harmony. It complemented all the other people in Am Yisrael, and taken together, therefore it reached this status and this conceptualization of K'ish echad b'lev echad, which is, it's miraculous to say that could happen, and it's miraculous that it was able to be achieved, and therefore function as a healthy family system of Am Yisrael. And this gives us an insight, and we could add to it by saying that there's also an idea that Rav Shimon Shkop suggests in his Sefer of Shari Yosher, that when you take the individual, the I construct, you could say, of the person, and the more that they are connected with and understand and really clarify who they are, they are in tune with and connected with themselves, that I construct is expanded to the extent that it can include other people within them. If that it takes in and it starts to become connected and creates a space for more people to exist together, to coexist, That's what happened with Ki'ish Echad B'Lev Echad and the nace of Matan Torah, that each individual had their own status and connection and a clear idea of a sense of self which expanded, and therefore everybody was connected together. Ki'ish Echad B'Lev Echad. Have a good Shabbos, have a good Yom Tov as well, and keep well.